No, that's super. That's exactly how, when you talk to people, you find out amazing that you have amazing talent right here.
Yes.
And that's what we want to promote, is really talent which brings together not only our community, but the world, you know, because we're from everywhere, you know, so this is how I think it works. This is how we made our contacts and made friends. And so I'd love to see your work. And you know,
he's going to be showing in LA at the end of the month.
Wow, okay. So that's how it really came about. And interestingly, with going into producing films, I think this in 2002, we had produced our first festival, and as word got out, I got approached by a gentleman who had written a script, and his friend was a DP, and he was a director, studied an MFA program. So they came to me to say whether I would produce their film. And I said, you know, I don't know anything about making films. I said, how do you make films? I'd never had the experience. And it was interesting. What he said was, if you can produce a festival of the size that we were becoming and we had visions of, that I could produce a film, because I had to put the team together, I had to make sure it worked, and that we took it to its natural conclusion, that is, sell it in the market, release it in theaters. So that's how my first feature film was born, from that.
2002?
Yeah, and we made it in actually 2 years. It took 9 months pre-production. You know all about films. It takes a lot of time to, you know, make sure it's working. So we worked really.
What's the title? Sorry.
Beyond Honor. So, and so we put the team. We did our casting. We did original music. We did everything to make it as good as we could, on a low budget, obviously. But the scene, for instance, in the director's mind, was shot in Santa Barbara, and in a university setting in a small town, nice town. So I said, why Santa Barbara? Why not Riverside? So we actually changed the location to Riverside. So the whole movie was shot in Riverside.
Wonderful.
And it was all, you know, production value, that it was all on location, and the medical scenes were shot in our surgery center, the university scenes were shot in UCR. So it's really, I mean, it was shot in 35 millimeter in those days. 35 millimeter was the gold standard of filmmaking. So it really had a good look. We had 5-1 Dolby, you know, surround sound. I mean, sound, it's just the best sound you can get at that time. So it was great. It was a great film. And after that, the director made another movie called American Blend, in which I kind of was an advisor. You know, I acted in both movies also. He just wrote me in because I'd done one with him, so he says, you know, you're my lucky charm. I want to write you into the second one also. So I was behind the camera, in front of the camera, and so that turned out well. Again, just following the sequence of it. In independent film making, it's very difficult to get distribution. When you're the first film that you make, it's really difficult to go and say who's going to take your film out there, who's going to screen it, etc. And when I found that how difficult it was, I said, this is not worth it. So I did get distribution in New York and in LA, very limited release, because I wanted it to be acquired so that I could complete the loop and say, you know what, I actually released my film. So Beyond Honor was put into Laemmle theaters and in New York, and which qualified me to submit my film to the Oscars, because the lead female role had done such an amazing job. I thought, why not, you know? So we actually submitted to the Oscars, and then it's amazing how much money it takes to then put your movie out there. So I just let it be. Said if somebody saw it, they liked it. But anyways, I completed the whole thing, enjoyed the experience of, you know, movie making and production, and
So it was Beyond Honor, the one that was submitted to the Oscars.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was I was a producer,
Right.
exec producer
Right. I gotcha.
in that.
Okay.
And the other interesting part was that when I learned it was very difficult to distribute, I started my own distribution company in Hollywood. It was called Unistar International Pictures. And so I said, well, time to do if other people can do it, why not? I'd made a movie, why not make a distribution company?
Exactly.
So I acquired films and we had markets, we sent the teams all over the world to distribute. And as a lot of stories came to an end with the economic crash, 2008, I knew that because people from everywhere started calling me to say they couldn't pay the money, and things had gone tough, the dollar had gone strong, they couldn't afford to deal with currency changes. So I saw the writing on the wall that this was a global crash, and so I kind of shut the company down because it would have taken a lot of investment to keep it going and I thought it was going to be a long kind of depression, that it wasn't 6 months. And
it is kind of long.
It is kind of long, so I'm glad I did.
Yes.
But it was, we were getting orders, we were selling, and I had a nice team. And so that was the story of my whole creative process and getting to know Hollywood and how it works, which helped me with the festival because I understood how independent filmmakers led their lives, put their lives, thoughts and creative expression into making that movie, and putting their soul behind getting it out there. And so I'd kind of seen that side of it, I was seeing the festival side of it, so I could in a way kind of understand filmmakers and see if we could help them, market it, get the good films, give them awards, so they could advertise their own films and maybe get some company to acquire them. I've always had a strong leaning to get students involved in the festival. So we have intern programs now, we encourage student films, we have a separate high school and college night for students so that they can compete with each other, and the good ones we can actually put in the main competition. So you can imagine if a student wins an award at a festival like this, I mean that makes his resume go up a lot more, so others can say, okay, you've done some work, this is not your first film, let's give you an opportunity.
Absolutely.
So that's something else that we try and do. Workshop run by Professor Ruth Nolan, and she, so we have a good workshop, and something happened during the workshop that instead of prose, I started writing poetry. I don't know where it came from, I have no clue, but I started writing more and more poetry, and within about a year and a half, I had a reasonable collection, and I've actually brought one for you. So